r/r credited by online comps. Redditors with thin walls. What have you heard in your apartment? My upstairs neighbors taking turns zapping each other with a stun gun, hitting the floor, groaning in pain, and then laughing like Beavis and Butthead. This is a special breed of dumb. Someone sneezed. We said bless you. They laughed. Damn it, Lawrence, can't you just pretend like we can't hear each other through the wall? I've heard my neighbor giving his granddaughter a xylophone for birthday, I guess. She could play it well and kept playing for a while. Immediately after she left, I could hear him trying to play something his granddaughter played. He practiced for a solid hour until he managed to play this song correctly and stopped with a joyful yes. It was one of the purest things I've ever experienced. I actually manage an apartment complex where my office is surrounded by a 1-bedroom unit. The building is old and the walls are thin. The tenant that used to live in the unit was a quiet man, but would frequently sing beautiful opera music. His voice was amazing, and I loved it every time I heard him sing. Then one time I saw him in the halls and made the mistake of asking if he was the one who sang these beautiful opera songs. His face turned red, but he confirmed that it was him. I told him that I always enjoyed it when I heard him sing, and that it would always brighten my day. Never should have said anything, because I never heard him sing again. You're only with me for the crack. My next door neighbors. Edit. Guys, they are not Irish. They are white trash Dartmouth folk in Nova Scotia. Yes. Yes I am. What can only be described as my flatmate having phone sex while using Christian Bale's Batman voice. I'm Fatman. It's not the awards I received, but who I fap to that defines me. Upstairs neighbors were a single mom and teenage daughter. They were very loud. The mom's room was above my room. One day I had off and was woken up by sex upstairs. It was pretty common in the previous couple weeks. This time, though, someone came in and started screaming, "You're having sex in my bed?" Turns out the daughter had been skipping school and coming back to the apartment with her boyfriend. They were the ones having sex in the mom's bed. The fight that ensued should earned both women awards. I lived next to a couple some years ago, and they came home after a night out and started fighting about who was better at darts. I thought they were joking, but it got pretty heated. Doors were slammed. Edit. Since people are asking, they were playing darts at the bar earlier that night. From what I could tell, they were playing as a team and the boyfriend wasn't pulling his weight and was super defensive about it. Had an off night. Allegedly. The girlfriend was mad he couldn't accept she was better. I'm no detective, but think they had some relationship issues bigger than darts. I moved from far away, so I have a different state license plate than everyone else at the apartment complex. A couple of days ago I had my upstairs neighbor drunkenly ranting to his wife about what he thinks I'm up to. He's convinced that I'm on the run from something. I'm just in grad school, Mayo. Okay, but take a second to realize the opportunity you have here. I'd personally play this one out. Give vague answers when asked about your life. When walking to your car, look over both shoulders at least once a week. Fake a phone call while they're home with a vague but suspicious conversation. If you see them in the hallway, ask them if they've seen someone resembling a sketchy character you've made up. You have a chance to be truly mysterious. They'll tell stories of you for years to friends about the neighbor who may have been on the run. Eater. Thanks for my first silver stranger. Very cool. Edited 3. To remove excessive thanking for the awards. Sorry, I don't know Reddit etiquette for awards, I just got caught up in the moment, lol. Really do appreciate the golds and even the silver, just BC. I live next to a guy who took care of his disabled girlfriend. She stayed home with a nurse while he worked to support them and pay for her healthcare. Everyone really admired him for it. He used to get drunk and tell her that if she doesn't start putting out, he's gonna throw her ass out. How the hell did that get so grim so fast? My parents told me stories about the apartment they lived in when I was a baby. The lady above us was a classically trained pianist and her music room was above my room. Apparently when I would start crying in my crib, she would start playing and I would go right to sleep. After my parents divorced, my dad stayed in the same apartment. A few years later, when I went to visit him, I was about 10 or 11. I got to finally meet her for the first time. The woman who used to play me to sleep as a baby taught me how to play the piano 10 years later. Edit. Wow. Thanks for my first silver, guys. I'm sad to say I retained very little from my lessons, but I can play a mean chopsticks. Edit. And gold too. Okay, that's rad. Yeah, you'll like me. You really like me. Yesterday when I was taking a shit, my neighbor was blasting classical music on full volume. It was the most majestic and relaxing shit I've taken in a long time. Holy fucking shit. Pre-dawn hours, blizzard outside, everything's still and quiet. My roommate and I heard our neighbor on the other side of the firewall fart, wet and deep like a stifled baritone sax, and exclaimed to himself in a twisted combination of awe and disgust, "Oh my god." We burst out laughing and hear him chime in with pride, "Did you guys hear that?" Vindicated that his fart was heard and forever lives in our memories. This one is my favorite. My dad used to fart loudly in his sleep, and I told my sister it sounded like someone slapping a vat of butterscotch pudding. She laughed so hard she cried, peed in her pants, and woke my parents up. We were in our 20s, so it was kind of awkward. Editing to add, in the nanosecond I had post-paternal pudding fart, I envisioned a big vat of pudding, with a hand slapping it. My dad has always only liked two kinds of pudding, and one was butterscotch, so that's what I envisioned. The other kind he likes is tapioca, and I'm glad I didn't think of it, because fundamentally, when you compare puddings, butterscotch was perfect. Tapioca would have only conjured up lumps and a sharty mess to clean up. Edit #2. I told my dad about this post, and he was horrified that I thought a fart he'd slept through was his best. He and my mom agreed that her funeral fart, posted further down, was an award winner. Then he says, "Tell them, or Redditors, I assume, about the time your mother made seagulls fart, and how she trapped us in the room while she air shit herself. Tell back quote em that one." I've been hearing Don't Stop Believing by Journey every morning at least twice for about a month now. You shouldn't stop believing. My ex-neighbors never let their kids leave the house and preferred to raise bubble children. The older son, 12 or 13, was pitifully fragile. One day I heard him crying because he shit on his own hands. He shit on his own hands. Wait, what? I could hear my neighbor fart, and when her phone went off on vibrate, it was like having roommates I couldn't see. Oh, I thought they were connected. Every time her phone went off, she farted. Heard my neighbors having sex when I lived in my previous apartment. Our bedroom shared a wall. This in itself is not unusual. It was like, give me your fucking baby. Make me pregnant, daddy, waking me up at 2 AM. That killed my soul. Poor architectural design. Never let bedrooms share a wall if possible. My flatmates and I had a joke that if someone used the upstairs washroom we would shout a yapoopin. One day someone above our top floor, the third floor was studio apartments, screamed, "How the hell do you always know?" Edit. Holy shit. I did not expect this. Thanks for the gold, silver, and upvotes. Years ago I had an upstairs neighbor. At 2 AM, every night, I would hear something sprint across the entire apartment. I realized 3 things. It was very fast, it took small strides, and it never deviated from its path. One day, I saw my neighbor outside and I said, "I don't know how you have energy at 2 AM. He responded with, "Dude, I've been working the midnight to 8 AM shift for 15 years. Doesn't bother me at all." That night, I watched him leave his house, drive off, and waited 2 hours. At exactly 2 AM, I heard what sounded like 2 feet hit the floor in his bedroom, and the marathon started. A few weeks later, I see him outside. I tell him what I hear at night and he says, "That's strange. No one has my keys. It's just me and my rabbit up there." My last apartment had particularly weak walls between apartments. One night I was reading in bed, and I was unknowingly the third party to a particularly nasty fight between the couple living next door. The fight lasted for almost an hour, and was apparently the end of their said relationship as she was going to leave him and the apartment the next day. The longer the fight went on, the more interested I became as I pieced snippets of the reason for the fight together. I did not know them personally, only enough to wave and say hi, help them with carrying up groceries etc. Good neighbor stuff. It seemed couple A. both early 30s, were becoming bored with their sex life. For whatever reason they decided that they would fulfill a fantasy of theirs and invite a third individual to join them sexually. Male A and female A found through some online means male B to join them. I guess things worked out for a while. From the snippets of the fight I caught, male B had joined them on multiple occasions for various sexual escapades. The kicker was female A came home early from a work trip and found male A and male B deeply engrossed in their sexual acrobatics without her. Female A flipped out, and I guess after that point they tried to patch things up, but she caught both of them on 2 other occasions, the latest being the night before fight night that I was unashamedly listening to. Neither neighbor would hold my gaze for long the next morning. I think they were too embarrassed or ashamed to ask if I had heard anything, and presumed I heard it all. I even offered to carry a box of stuff she was lugging out of the apartment. Remember, good neighbor. She mumbled something and said no. He was packed, moved out and gone a week later. Needless to say, it was the most interesting thin-walled apartment experience I have had the vicarious pleasure to be part of. Edit. Thanks for the interest and replies folks, and the kind stranger in silver. Wish I could tell you what happened as a follow-up, but alas I have no idea what happened to the troubled trinity in the tryst. Edit. My humble thanks to the gracious golden guest for your gift. Gracious. Leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe and this cat will let you go through heaven. Thanks for watching, and always plant trees to save the earth.